Hi everybody, Mature Simmer here. So welcome to Martha's Vineyard here. So this is leg 4 of our VFR World Tour using the Black Square TBM 850. We can see here what exactly is happening. There we go. So you can see it's 81 or 71 degrees in the cabin. Detailed model, outside air temperature is 59 degrees, which is interesting. I'm not using real weather, I suppose. I usually fly with just the clear skies and so forth, but I would think this time of year it would be a little bit more realistic. I've got my flight plan loaded in, and so we are heading this way from Martha's Vineyard, and we're headed up here, as you can see, into Maine. So we're still going to stay within the United States, but this is an area of the country, as I've indicated in other episodes along this series, that I'm not as familiar with. At least we're still in the U.S., I guess. I thought we were actually going to get into Canada in this leg. It tells me it's a 218 nautical mile leg, so it's actually the shortest we've had so far. And so there is nothing specific that I can cover on this one. And it's 281 nautical miles, I'm sorry. 218, I think, is what I said. But what I like to do with this is, the reason I'm doing this series is there's a great set of narrations that the creator of these 234 VFR routes to get us around the world has provided for us. And so we kind of cover those as we go. But we've got 43 nautical miles to the first waypoint, which we can see down here. So as we're flying, you'll hopefully be able to kind of take a look at that. This is, I'm kind of going to try to give visuals like this when I'm not doing anything actively. Obviously, we'll be taking off here and all of that shortly. Because it's VFR, we're not using air traffic control. We're just kind of taking off and we're enjoying the views. So some of the things that have changed, I'm using Orbix Global Trees HD, which is a mod that is supposed to improve both vegetation, so it would make some changes to the grass, and it adjusts the trees as well. So that is a paid mod that I have added on, because I think for VFR flying, I think it's going to help immensely. So I've done that, but other than that, there's really nothing that we're going to be dealing with. I'm going to try to set us at about 3,500 feet, and at this point, I think, let me just make sure that parking brake is off, and I think, let's see, do we not have flaps set? Is that the issue? No, flaps are set for takeoff. What am I missing? It seems unhappy about something. I don't know what. I think I've got, all of this and so forth, but in any event, it's been a while since I've been in here. It's been over a month. So definitely been having the itch to get this going. But with that, we're going to go ahead and get this throttle up, and we're going to get going. So we're going to get ourselves off, and then hopefully I'll be able to remember / figure out how to get over here shortly, and get my vertical elevation set appropriately. So we're going to put on the yaw damper, I'm going to turn on autopilot, and that should then get us going. We'll just have to watch. And then what I want to do is set the vertical speed. I don't want to go to plus 1,000, but we'll do that, and then that should hopefully get us moving. So you can see we're headed there. So hopefully the autopilot is doing what we should be. We are increasing in speed. Gonna get the gear up. I've had a time where I tried to land without the gear once, so we're gonna obviously try to avoid doing that again. Alright, good news is, okay, everything appears to be working, I believe. So this should rise and get us leveled off at 3,500. So we're gonna kind of get going here. But let's take a peek. But you can see just a lot more lush greenery. You know, and I think that's what we're going to get here. I think there isn't a ton over water, but we are headed for the first couple. Then we're basically clinging to the coastline once we go. But there's the airport behind us. We took off, basically headed in the opposite direction than we wanted to go. But still 41 nautical miles here. Indicator for the engine speed is there, so I think we're okay. We could probably still crank the throttle a little bit more, get ourselves some additional power. But let's just jump into where we're headed in the first point here. So what they've got is from Martha's Vineyard, head northeast over Vineyard Sound, across Cape Cod and its bay, to our first waypoint at High Pole Hill and the Pilgrim's Landing Monument. So we are heading toward where the Pilgrims landed in the United States. Or, well, what was to become the United States. It wasn't even the British colonies at that point. It was just a wild and crazy location. Air temperatures already dropped to plus 48 with the height we've got, and hopefully we're coming up on leveling out. If we don't, we're just going to have to keep aware of things. I mean, if we pass it, it's not going to be the end of the day. But moving along nicely. 3,400. But so this would be, I guess, Vineyard Sound. So again, Martha's Vineyard, that is the island. But that's the nice thing with VFR, you know, things aren't going to get too hard for us to see, so we should be leveling out here, I would think, shortly. We're definitely climbing pretty slowly. And there we go, it switched to 0. So I think if I change that, it's going to show kind of where we're at. And I'm sure it's, you know, moving a bit. And then that may change to 3,500. Or it'll just stay this way, which is fine as well. Alright. So we'll see how much we can see. I mean, we're not, you know, and maybe what I do is I make an audible here, and let's see. Why won't it? Whoops. Why won't it let me go down? Oh, is it because I haven't changed this? Probably. Alright. So now, whoops. So let me do that, and then we'll decrease, and we'll go down 1,000 feet. And then, whoops. We don't want to go down that sharply. But I should probably slow myself down because I don't want to have any challenges. Now I do have to be careful with watching the fuel. The fuel select is on auto, so it should bounce back and forth. I do remember that. So yes, it started out on the right tank selector. It's now on the left. So we should be okay. But yeah, if we get down to 2,500 feet, then that should, you know, give us a bit better view of things. Because if there's a Pilgrim's Landing monument, I would hope we could see something, but I don't know. But we are 26.4. It's also visible here. So, you know, like I said, because sometimes I decide, well, I can't really talk anymore. There's nothing else to share. You know, we'll kind of go between areas. But because it's a VFR flight, I definitely want to give you the opportunity to enjoy the view out the window. Alright, we seem to be leveling out. It has not kind of set itself yet. I mean, I think that's the capture that we're seeing there. Let's see. Alright, now it thinks it's captured it, so that's a little bit better. So, yeah, I think we need to head out to the bay a bit, because we're basically kind of going off the little arm of Massachusetts, but then we're going, so now we're heading out across Cape Cod and its bay. So, you know, we're going here. If we get out of the plane, you can see basically the arm's going to kind of swing around and up here. And at one of the points, probably somewhere there, I would imagine, is where the landing monument is going to be. So, yeah, it doesn't really get any quieter as we go along. So it doesn't really matter how zoomed in I am on the plane. But we'll then be heading back this way. There's a waypoint probably right around there, I'm thinking, that is going to be waypoint 2. Because that's where it tells us that we're going to have a sharp turn to the west. Still left, so I'm just kind of keeping an eye out. I want to make sure I don't create a problem, but basically our fuel gauge here is showing our left and our right. And then, you know, once we get to a certain point, it'll flip things back. Whoops. Alright, so the flaps have gone up to where I can go a little bit quicker. Because right now, what's my airspeed? So let me see. I should be able to, whoops, speed up some. Because I should be able on the 850 flap indicator, which now we're on that. That'll let me go safely between the yellow and the red, and so that will move us along, and then we can get an airspeed closer to like 208, 210, and that will obviously get us to our destinations a little quicker. So 15 miles. We're starting to see, you know, a little more pronounced ability to see the land. But, you know, it's definitely an interesting concept that we've got going on here. Sorry, a little bit of a cough. I now feel a sneeze coming on. So kind of an inopportune time. I believe I muted the microphone, so we should be good. But yes, our airspeed is now 216 instead of being about 180, 190. So that'll move us along, at a pretty good clip, substantially higher. But obviously, as you might imagine, I'm sure we're going to have plenty of over-water travel at various points. You would imagine, as with a trip around the world, it's not as if there's just land everywhere. And so I think we're heading up, kind of, we're going to follow Canada and where it sticks out as much as possible, I'm sure, and then we'll, I assume, head over to like Greenland or something like that. But we take one leg at a time. But I like the idea of, hey, fly around the world, get to explore, go to places we've not been. So we're going to Hancock County Bar Harbor Airport. Kilo Bravo Hotel Bravo is where we are headed toward. And we have 5 waypoints along the way. Again, this being the first. It's not the shortest leg. I think, honestly, the turn to the west here and going to waypoint 2 is going to be the shortest, and then maybe the next shortest is the one after that. But then it was probably this one. And we do have, after waypoint 5, about 71 nautical miles that we'll be flying before we then get on the RNAV approach to runway 4 at Hancock County Bar Harbor Airport. So while I don't use ATC on these flights, I have been using Beyond ATC a lot. Every time I fly, I fire that up, and it has really changed my enjoyment of the flying from that respect, because it's not just what we have here in all cases where you're headed up and it's just you and the plane, and you're not saying anything. Like, there's actual procedure and so forth. So again, I'm assuming, and I see something there. No, that's just, I don't know. It might be a dot on my screen. Piece of dirt, which then you wouldn't be able to see. So I'm guessing High Point Hill. So this is always tricky. So we're going to zoom in a bit. Aha, I'm wondering if that's it. I'm thinking that is it. So that is probably the monument. So that's probably the high point here that they went to. But now our next piece, which is... Now, what I don't have is I haven't fired up my little nav map, so I apologize for that. Alright, now I am going to try to load the flight plan. Alright, but what that gives me is, yes, this is about 22 nautical miles now, which I guess I really didn't need, because I have that on my plane here. But that is where we're headed. We're now headed at heading 270. That doesn't seem right, because it doesn't look that way on the map. But anyway, what they're giving us here is information. A sharp turn west takes us back across the bay to Plymouth. As you cross the coast, Plymouth Rock and a full-scale replica of the Mayflower sit just a quarter mile to the southeast. So, basically, we're headed, in essence, a little bit southeast. And your second waypoint is at about half a mile inland at the National Monument to the Forefathers. So that is where we are headed. But again, as we cross the coast, we should be able to see the Mayflower and Plymouth Rock. So this is exactly the kind of stuff that I think makes this world tour worth taking. It's interesting. It seems to be turning a bit here. There was no waypoint in between, so I'm not quite sure how we got blown off course or whatever, but we did. But, you know, we're a good ways already from High Point Island over there. You know, maybe we're getting a good amount of breeze or something. I don't really know. But yes, so my visual estimate is accurate. Basically, it was 44 nautical miles from the airport. I mean, it was 46 because, again, we took off, had to turn around and all that. So we added a few miles flying in the wrong direction. And it's 22. The next one's 30. One after that is 49. So the first waypoint leg was the third shortest that we had. But we'll worry about the third waypoint after that. Let's see. All right. So we've got that set. I'm just trying to get my next narration set. So you'll notice in the series, yeah, the engines will cut in and off. Because when I don't have focus on Microsoft Flight Simulator, unfortunately, it cuts out the sound. All right, 7.7. But let me take a look back here in Navigraph. There we go. I just want, because Navigraph just gives me an easier view of the speed, but we're down to about 6 nautical miles to go. But yeah, until things require us to be a little higher, probably makes sense to be lower. I mean, I could be even a little bit lower, but technically VFR we should be flying at 500 something, so like I could go to 1500, but that starts to get potentially dangerously low with things. There's one other thing I haven't done. So, apologize for that. I have not started up VSLTL. So that was the one thing I was thinking, because it'll inject some traffic, and more importantly, when we land, you know, maybe we'll have some folks. You know, I don't know, at this level, we don't tend to see a lot, but I thought I saw something blinking, and that's where I'm like, wait, maybe it's a plane. But I'm like, nope, it can't be a plane because we don't have anything. Alright, so let me get out here. The coast. Where's the coast? The question is, are we gonna see it? Did we miss it? I don't see anything that looks like a ship. So, it's disappointing. I was hoping we'd see the Mayflower, but I don't really see anything. And again, because it's Bing imagery and so forth, might be hard to see. But anyway, and again, where is this monument of the founders? Not sure. I mean, we turned around there, so we don't really see it, but we tried. So we'll get back out to a little bit better view. We'll hop back in the cockpit, and we'll get our next piece of data. So now, again, we're going about 30 nautical miles. Now turn northwest city of Boston, Massachusetts. Boston was a key city during the American Revolution as the site of Paul Revere's famous ride, the Boston Tea Party, the Boston Massacre, and the Battle of Bunker Hill. The USS Constitution, aka Old Ironsides from the War of 1812, sits in Boston Harbor. Harvard University and MIT are just north of the river in Cambridge. The waypoint sits directly over Fenway Park, possibly the most iconic ballpark in all of Major League Baseball, though fans of Wrigley Field will argue that point. I, being one of those, would certainly argue that point. But I do have respect for Fenway as well. So, now, if I recall, I think the Red Sox kind of redid Fenway and, modernized it a bit, which Wrigley is starting to do a little bit as well. But, so I don't know if it maintains as much of that charm. But again, as we get closer, we'll try to pay a little more attention. It came up on me so fast with those 22 nautical miles, and, I'm trying to get a little nav map up. I'm trying to do those other things. We missed that opportunity, but like I said, we did look up and down the coast, and I certainly didn't see anything that looked like a ship. So I am zooming in on my Navigraph is what I am doing, because what I'm hoping is then I will be able to more easily see the areas of Boston and call them out as we go through. So we're coming up on Curtis Crossing, Hanover Center. We're basically going to head right over. So if you're familiar with this area, these things might matter to you. I don't know. I'm really more looking when we get closer and we're getting, to Harvard and all those things, to just see if I can point them out and get them on screen. Haven't been doing a lot of recording today, but man, I just feel like I keep getting a tickle in my throat and having to cough, so just definitely not the best episode here, but sometimes it happens. And again, it's gonna be the nature of this. I mean, let's be honest. It's just gonna be challenging. So, only thing I know about Boston is, things like, Matt Damon and those guys. I think Good Will Hunting, in theory, took place in one of the places here. I thought it was an airport, but that's just, well, no, I guess it is. But it's not listed on the on Navigraph, at least the level I'm zoomed in on. Maybe I'm zoomed in too much. I don't know. Because in theory, I might be showing 3 or 4 miles, but I would think that would be there. Now, even zooming out a little bit, nothing has come into view. So, alright, so we're going to be coming up on Braintree and East Braintree. I don't know why those sound familiar to me, but they do. So, and there's some bigger parks, I think probably in this space here. Maybe. No, because it's north of this, like, lake thing. So it's probably here, but they're like Great Blue Hill, Burnt Hill, Hancock Hill. So I don't know. But, you can see Boston proper in front of us there. So again, Boston Harbor, wherever that is, the USS Constitution will be there, so we're going to get outside the plane. Hopefully, we'll be able to catch some glimpses of some things. Well, as slowly as I can, pan around. Looks like some sort of refinery or something down there. A couple long berths. There's one big, like, ship in there. But obviously no Revolutionary War type ship. Now that is Rock Island. It doesn't list what this might be. So, yeah, I don't have any, like, points of reference here that I can see. So, yes, I don't know if Boston Harbor is this. I know nothing of the Boston area. So, we just went over Quincy behind us there. I assume, again, these are all suburbs. And then we're getting across a little bit of the river. Now, the Boston Airport, which I think is Logan, is here. So, we do see that. Again, they just may not have the ship. That is a very colorful... Is that a tank? It looks like a solar farm, if I was to say what I think I'm seeing there. A lot of boats. Alright, so we're headed toward Fenway Park. We're getting close. It's going to be before the river. It's going to basically be right around there. So, and we are going to turn to the right, so, you know, we might catch a glimpse of something, but I don't know that we will. Let's go ahead and give Fenway Park its due as we're coming up on it here. I think it's right there. So you got the big green monster. Yep, there it is. So, that wall would be there, I believe. And we are now turning. And I am looking in the harbor. If you see a ship, yay. Something? No, that's not. So I don't know that we're gonna see any. Oh, maybe that? No, that's a bridge. That's like a turning bridge. Yeah, I'm imagining they don't really have that level of detail on Bing Maps. I mean, the fact that we're even seeing the city as we are is pretty cool. Again, I know nothing about Boston. Again, they talked about Harvard and all of that. So Cambridge is here, it says. So I don't know where Harvard is in relation to that, because I don't think it's a town. It's a university. So I don't know. Maybe there looks like campus-y type stuff. I have no idea. So I apologize if you were hoping that you would see Harvard and I screwed up my camera angle and you didn't. But there you go. Well, it said Harvard and MIT are just north of the river in Cambridge, so in theory where we were looking there, that's where they were. Alright, so now let's hop in. So now again, I think we have, what, 43 miles to go still. So now follow the coast to the next waypoint just north of Portsmouth, where a slight right will take you across Portland, Maine, to the next waypoint west of Brunswick. So that is where we are headed. So not that close to the coast, honestly. So whatever that is the Port of Pines. This is just open space. There's nothing listed on the map that gives me any indication, and part of it is, again, I am still pretty far out. I'm gonna see, let me see if I go in. Yeah, but see, now I can't actually see the space. There's a thing, but I think it's the town that says Franklin Park. I'm trying to see, maybe little nav map will be a little more informative, but I don't think so. But we'll let it recenter itself and I'll see. And then, as long as I fly relatively soon, I'll maybe have some input. Maybe. I can actually see, like, street names and stuff here, so, yeah, maybe. Maybe this wouldn't hurt. So, we're passing, yeah, Linwood Reservation, so I'll keep a little nav map up. That might give us a little bit more detail than what we were getting off of Navigraph. So, Puritan Lawn Memorial Park, we're heading over, like right now, so I think that's a cemetery right there. Problem is I don't get a lot of warning. I'm zoomed in quite a bit. I mean, let me see if I can maybe zoom out a little bit and get some info, but a little bit less speed on there. Why is that so red or pink or whatever that is? That is interesting. I don't know what that is. Maybe a bit thing that's not rendering. A lot of times in graphics engines you'll get pink when things don't render right, but I don't know. I'm not sure. But then again, it's the same kind of pink like the track is, so maybe that's just a building that's pink. But we're basically following I-95 here. So that is the interstate that is below us. Got a golf course there. Trying to see. Faircroft Hill, North Shore College, I don't know. Some sort of a reservation. I don't know if there's like a really tiny Indian reservation here outside of Boston. I don't know of any other kind of reservations. It's like Whistle? I don't know. The flight path goes over it, so I'm missing some of the letters, so I apologize. It's not that I don't know how to read. It's that I can't see very well, so... But we're headed very close to the coast, as you can see. It's kind of pointing us in that direction. But really... a lot less populated than I really thought it would be. There's a lot more trees and a lot more land that doesn't have a lot of development on it than I expected around Boston. So it's interesting. And again, exactly why I think VFR is going to be cool, because it's going to help make these kind of discoveries. Like, you obviously get a different perspective from the air. So, obviously that's inland toward the main United States. This is out here to the water. Where are we at? We're still 26 nautical miles away. It's like a giant, it says Spar and Spindle Girl Scout Camp that we're coming up on, like basically this space here. That's kind of crazy. Alright, well, I-95 is now off the map. I think it's there. So it is heading over. And then we're heading toward William Forward Wildlife Management Area is where all of this meandering waterway is. The Governor's Academy. Don't know if that's a private prep school or what. That caught my eye as an interesting name. But, yeah, so I don't know how far we gotta go to get to Portsmouth, but we're obviously clearly getting toward the coast here. So definitely you can let me know in comments. Is it better, would you rather me stay out of the plane where a lot of the view isn't blocked by the cockpit and the structure of the plane, or would you rather it be quieter and we get this view kind of from in the plane? There's a lot of tracks for schools and stuff, clearly. I assume it'll tell me the Andrew J. Gills Memorial Bridge is the one down there on the left. This is the Merrimack River. That's what I was looking for. Looks like a lot of stuff. The Port Arthur Flat, Joppa Flat in the waterway here is where it's referring to. Looks like there's a airport kind of over there, maybe? I don't know. Or no, that's a waypoint. Never mind. It's got five letters to it. Alright, so we've gone like 9-10 miles only since we checked last time. I was like, we must be getting close to Portsmouth, but we're not, amazingly. So again, 49 nautical miles total to this waypoint. Next one's 56, so they're going to be very, very similar. It is the Seabrook Salt Marsh is what all this space around this river is, so I'm guessing that water then is still much, you know, very much salt water, given that it's a salt marsh. But definitely a lot of interesting scenery, but very very sea level here. So Hampton Beach is the town we're passing over here. I believe we're still in Massachusetts. I'm pretty sure Portsmouth is, unless my history is not serving me well. Because then I think we are going to pass through portions of New Hampshire and Vermont before we get to Maine. But it's got to be really small. Because we just don't have that much space, honestly. So yeah, a lot of marshland and things here along the coast. So it's another, the Little River Swamp is what we're passing over now. Just very, very hospitable sounding, right? Alright. Now, yeah, I can see the golf courses, but I can't see their names. I'm zoomed out too far. I don't know that many people care about which golf courses we're passing over. But I know when I was doing some of my flying, of course, again, that was in my my career series with Neofly. So I think it was the Neofly thing that I had zoomed in enough that I could easily tell things. But we're also traveling a heck of a lot less distance in the Neofly series at this point than we are in these flights. Alright, 6 miles, so I'm thinking just across the river, maybe. And that will get us to Portsmouth. But yeah, certainly along the coast here, just because of all the marsh, I'm sure that's a big reason things also aren't built up, is it probably isn't really great land either for that, so they just kind of leave it to be park and all of that. So this island here is Newcastle Island. Portsmouth is over to our left, so that is Portsmouth over there. And now we're going through over the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard is what we have right here. And it's already basically told us we're going to take a slight right. We're not at the waypoint yet. And that will take us across Portland, Maine, to the waypoint west of Brunswick. So we're not, the waypoint isn't at Portland, but it's basically taking us that way. Alright, now we have passed the waypoint, so again, we've got about a 56-mile leg. So you can see we're taking a bit of a turn. Kind of just stay on the flight path. And as I said, 55 nautical miles. So we're crossing the York River here. Again, that is a river certainly that we hear about in the U.S. here and there. But I do not know if I am still in Massachusetts or not. Let me see if I can figure that out. No, I don't think I am. I'm not sure. No, we crossed that a while ago. So we actually went through New Hampshire. Portsmouth's actually in Maine, so I was wrong that it was... Or no, Portsmouth's in New Hampshire. So we are actually over Maine now already. Still doing 214. So, hop back over here. So yeah, but yeah, very little bit of those other two states, as you might imagine. So I don't know if Portland, Maine is kind of already going to be there, or what we're doing. As I start to see information, I'll let you know. So yeah, the hills below us are, you know, towering at... The tallest one I see is 68 meters, which is Long Hill, and next to it, a little bit south of it, is Cat Mountain at 67 meters. So there's stuff like that all over the U.S. I remember there was a Wilmot Mountain ski resort, and it's Wilmot, not Mont. There's no N. In Wisconsin, and that was like one of the closest places to go skiing from the city of Chicago. And yeah, I think it was maybe 200 feet high or something, which I think would be, what, probably about that height as Cat Mountain. 60-ish meters type thing. So it was kind of funny. But, you know, when everything else around you is pretty flat, something that's a couple hundred feet high, I guess it seems like a mountain. But obviously we're skirting along the coast a little bit again. Let's take a quick peek. I don't know, might be a pumping... No, that's actually an island, I think, of some sort. Because on my Navigraph map, it kind of shows up as a little sandy circle. That clearly wasn't a circle, but... So yes, we are headed to the last waypoint. We are now heading to waypoint 5. But definitely intrigued by the concept of these flight plans and therefore this series. So my goal certainly is not to go as long as I did between flights, but with being out of town, getting involved in other things, I was working flight sim related. So I suppose I've mentioned it in other series on my channel, just because, hey, why is this series late, or it just seems like, you know, this, that, or whatever. But I spent about 40-ish hours working on a GSX profile for O'Hare, for the flight FS Dream Team version of it. So I do have that payware airport, since in one of my United virtual airlines, that is my hub. So I plan to be in and out of O'Hare a lot, so have good scenery for it, and was like, you know, let me get every gate working and things staged appropriately, because with the default, there's just a lot of vehicles that like start inside buildings and stuff. They're in the terminal, you know, shoved in the terminal, or there's a light pole going through the middle of them, kind of where they're default coming out. And kind of the argument would be, you know, they spawn and they immediately drive, so it doesn't matter, but I'm trying to make it look nice and so forth. So we're crossing into Kmvy-Kbhb. If I'm remembering correctly, I think it's the Bushes, the Bush family, a couple U.S. presidents, Kmvy-Kbhb, Maine. They've got something somewhere here. And so this is the area of the country that they'd be hanging out in and relaxing with their family and having a private retreat and so forth. I don't know that I would say it's big enough to be classified as a compound, but it may be. Because again, I believe they both made a good amount of money in Texas oil, I think. And so they were able to afford, I'm sure, as much property as they wanted to some degree up here. What I don't know, and that I've never taken the time researched enough, honestly, because your logical question, especially if you're not from the U.S. watching this as well, were they born there maybe or whatever? I don't know. I don't know if the Bushes hail from here normally and they then moved to Texas or what. All right, so we've got the Saco River is what we have just passed over. So there it is, coming in from that bay. Another wildlife, Rachel Carson National Wildlife Refuge. I believe this would be the Rachel Carson that is, I think, the one that famous for Silent Spring, that wrote the thing, the book that started the environmental movement. So I'm thinking that might be her, named after her. The town of Old Orchard Beach is what we are passing right now. So not a bad size for sure. I think we're about halfway. Let's take a peek. Yeah, 27, because I think we passed over the distance marker. All right, now I do definitely see an airport coming up. It's Bailey's Field. It's just got a runway 11 and 28. Might be a grass strip. It's literally right next to us. In theory, it's whatever it's like right around there, so I don't know exactly where it is, but you know, maybe that's it, is a grass strip. But it does show up on Little Nav Map. And this is the Scarsborough Marsh Wildlife Management Area that kind of meanders around with the river, includes this space here too. So definitely a lot of things. And then Scarborough is the town that we're heading and starting to cross over now. So middle school and all that, right up that road there, and now we're past that. There's a retirement community off that we just passed on that side there. Looks like we've got another airport. Let's see if it'll tell us who that is. We're coming close enough that in theory I should be able to see it. I see the interchanges. At least I thought I did. But yeah, it's not telling me what airport that is, but that's not an insignificant one. There we go. We are coming up. This is the Portland International Airport. So we are near Portland. So it's got runway 36, runway 29 there. But that is their airport. And I assume then this is the town of Portland, Maine. So did not know it was on the water, on the ocean. So pretty cool. But we are literally, as it said, it'll take you across Portland, Maine, It is literally doing that. So this again is it's a cove, but kind of the area on it. You can see a little bit of the shading, I think. It looks like it's pretty shallow and kind of gives you that marsh grass type of information on the screen. I don't know for sure, but we are staying over the coast. Other than crossing a bay when we turn a little bit here, you know, as we get closer to landing, I think we're going to have a bit more water involvement again. But basically the bookends of this trip were kind of the water pieces, if you want to say that. So, alright, 15 miles. And then we've got what amounts to, in essence, the longest stretch of this entire journey. Is going to be 71 nautical miles to my next waypoint, which is the start of the RNAV approach to runway 04. But it's going to be a good, I don't know, 45-degree heading change at least. Interesting texturing of the water there, or whatever I'm seeing. I'm not even sure what I'm seeing there. Broad Cove. We're flying over Broad Cove. So if you're familiar with Broad Cove, here it is. Again, we're getting close here. Somewhere here is York Hill, which is 66 meters high. Like right around there, if I'm reading the map right. The Royal River. The Cousins River on the other side here. So this is the Royal, this is Cousins River. So, the land of famous lobsters, Maine lobster. Does it come from here exactly? I don't know. But in theory, it comes from somewhere in Maine. Alright, so still over 6 nautical miles. So I don't know. In theory, we should turn overland still. It's just hard to tell. US 1, which is I-295, is what's next to us there. So just if you were curious, it is not I-95 that's making a reappearance there. There's Hedgehog Mountain. Somewhere over that way. 85 meters. It is insanely high for this area. It's an extra 20 meters. That's like another 60 feet or something. Or wait, 20 meters? Yeah, no, that would be right. I think it'd be right. I don't know. Conversions are always not my strong suit. And that thing is called Florida Lake. I don't know why. Is it oddly shaped like Florida in some way? I have no idea. But yeah, not seeing anything yet. And once again, I'm on a little bit of a different distance. There we go. We're finally turning because though otherwise it took us basically straight to the airport, and so because I wanted a bit of a cleaner approach, we're going this way. So our last portion here, a turn to the east, will take you along the south coast of Maine to our destination, and your first uncontrolled airfield at Bar Harbor, located in the town of Trenton, just north of Mount Desert Island and the Arcadia National Park. Well, that is actually quite interesting to me, because I've heard about Arcadia. I had no idea where it was in Maine. I knew it was in Maine. But, so the town of Trenton is just north of that island and Arcadia National Park. So it'll be curious how much of that we're actually going to be able to see. But as you can see, we're still at 68 nautical miles. So I'm going to kind of set the view and kind of step away from talking, because I've got nothing specific to share, because I don't know that there's a whole lot we're seeing. We'll just have to pay attention to make sure that we're not running the risk of hitting anything. There does appear to be some higher elevation there. Again, we've got some space. If I pull up the landing monitor, we are 2,400 feet above ground level. So basically ground level is about 100 feet here. But I'm going to go silent for a bit. Again, we'll let you enjoy the views for sure. And we'll be back as we're getting closer to starting to approach in to Bar Harbor. Alright, so as you can see, I've still got about 30 nautical miles, but we're basically getting ready to head out over the ocean, I believe. I guess it's really a bay. So if we take a peek over in that direction, might be easier to see outside. There's a set of islands that kind of stays out there. I don't know that we drop down outside that anytime. But I'll just go back, and again, as we make that turn, I think we're still going to have 20 nautical miles or something to the airport, so we'll have plenty of time to get configured and do what we need, but we're heading toward whatever that little rise is on the other side of the bay, it looks like. So we'll see how this all goes. I guess I'll turn back this way a little bit, just so whatever little land we have you can see. But as far as I know, this is all US, but don't think we're hitting Canada or any point of it yet. Alright, so we're getting close here. Thinking we're going to make the turn to the left before we get to that rise. I don't know that that rise is really going to come into play in any way anyway. I mean, again, we're still 2,400 feet up. We're going to get ourselves down there. And then I think we're going to... we're going to start some descending. So let's do that. And that way we'll be, 1,000 feet lower, and we'll be able to line up over the airport as we need to. So 6.5 miles. I think there's 3 waypoints on the way that we're going to have. So, and I think they all get closer to each other. So we're passing over what is called Tinker Island. We just went over there. And, but actually, yeah, there's actually probably 2 waypoints in actuality. I'm wondering, oh, maybe that's the airport. I was thinking that might have been it, but it looks like we're turning. So I'm assuming, oh no, it's just giving us the warning that we're getting close. So I'm going to back off my throttle a bit here. And we're going to... whoop, no, we don't want to go that far, but we do want to get the flaps out a little bit. Start getting our airspeed down. Whoops. And I'm thinking we are low. So we are going to lower our gear. Because I'm going to forget otherwise. You know how that's going to go. But yeah, somehow we ended up at... oh, I see, because I had it at 500. That's why. Silly me. I want to be... so... yeah, I thought I had it at 1,500, so I just misplaced things a bit. But let's see. So, let me get that. And then it should flatten me out. Here we go. But I'm pretty sure that's where we're at, but I'm going to let it kind of line me up a little bit again. Let's make sure we do have our gear out, and then we are going to drop. Whoop, no, I don't want to. I just want to drop down, because I do need to get my airspeed down. So if I do that, that should slow me down quite a bit. And yeah, I think the 2.7 is actually the distance to the airport. So again, it's a uncontrolled airfield, so I think you'd be making your own kind of your own calls on kind of like Unicom if we were in VATSIM. Just letting yourself know, hey, I'm here, I'm there. But this is where like the new trees will help, because first off, I think they're going to be smaller. So they're going to look a little more realistic, I think, and we won't have to kind of dive in like we have before. You can see a light circling around over to the left at the edge of the airfield. So I think that helps us. I don't know that I can see, I don't know if those are PAPI lights. That's that outer marker. As we get closer, because this is only like a 3,000 foot runway, I think. Or maybe we are on the 5,000 foot. I think there was a little bit shorter one. But pretty quiet. Alright, we are good. So let's try to gently float this one in. Oh, it said we bounced. I'm surprised. I didn't really think we had. But it says we did. And here we are. Very empty airfield. Whatever we've got. Let's see, can I go? Yeah, it looks like we can go off to the left. So we'll do that. But here we are in Bar Harbor, Maine. This is like the craziest little taxiway. I think this is a taxiway. I mean, it's hard to say, but doesn't appear to be going anywhere. I mean, there's definitely a sign there. But it's like, I don't even know where this is going to take us, because those are like just houses, I think. It doesn't seem like it's part of the airfield. I think this is pretty much it. So, we're going to stop there. Alright, we're all set. And, oh, there's a plane. Another plane. I don't know that he came in or anywhere. So yeah, actually, it looks like we really should have gone over there. It's interesting that there's a sign like it. Yeah, we should have really gone the other way, but when we take off next time, that's where we'll be. So we'll head on down. That's right. We've got the starter over here. So we've got the ignition. So there we go. If we send ourselves over to where we've got some parking, where we've got some other planes, that works out nicely. And there we go. We are finally shut down. So, be in pretty good shape. But hopefully you've enjoyed this. Fourth leg of our trip around the world. We're just getting started. We're not even like 1% done. I think we are like 2% done, maybe, as far as legs. Again, it's 234, so technically, no, we're really not even 2% done. But we are here. Pretty interesting location, I guess. Just lots of islands and so forth. Pretty positive the next trip will be taking us into Canada at that point. So we will see how that all goes along when we're doing that and where we get to. But once again, I think we're going to be starting to hop across some water now, because my guess is we're not going to do a whole lot of flying into Canada proper, like heading north. I think we're going to just keep trying to get around the world and keep heading east. But looks like another plane coming in here. So Beyond ATC is getting close with traffic injection. They posted a video this morning, 45 minutes of stuff they showed at Flight Sim Expo. It's got me darn excited. It might change what we do with air traffic or something, just to get out of the airport at least. Again, they're going to add VFR to Beyond ATC at some point. My initial thing was, that I'm going to wait till that. And maybe traffic's really hard and maybe they'll do VFR really fast. I don't know. So we'll have to see. But in any event, let's not get ahead of ourselves, because who knows when that's coming. It's still got to come to the experimental branch, and then they're going to play around with it there, I'm sure, a little bit, and go from there. So we will take a look when we need to, but at this point, if you've enjoyed this and haven't dropped a like, please consider that. If you are not a subscriber, please consider that. The smaller channel, especially with a bunch of different things going on here, the bigger the audience gets to be, the better, because there's might only be 50 or 100 people that are here for a certain topic, and of the subscribers we have. I don't think it's segmented that much, but you know, with only, I'm coming up on 1,300 subscribers, I think. I can't imagine that we've got more than 500, maybe 1,000 in any given genre. But you know, it doesn't necessarily foster a lot of comments and communication, and that's really what I'd love to see, is some activity of us all chatting about stuff and just enjoying what's going on. So I will see you next time.